In America, the fix is often 1,000 times dumber than the original problem. This video is a monument to that fact. We're counting down 101 of the most baffling, hilarious, and catastrophic moments where someone said, "I can help," and unleashed a legendary disaster instead. Let's get started. 1. In 1970, Oregon officials faced a smelly problem. A 45-foot, 8-ton sperm whale carcass washed ashore. To help remove it, they chose the most logical tool available, a half-ton of dynamite. Their goal was to vaporize it into small, scavenger-friendly bits. Instead, they created a meat and blubber hailstorm, destroying a nearby car and terrifying everyone for miles. It was a masterclass in how not to solve a problem. 2. To help. The nation's morals, the U.S. government enacted prohibition in 1920. The plan was to curb drinking and create a more wholesome society. The result? It single-handedly created the American mafia, turned doctors into glorified bartenders prescribing whiskey, and led to thousands dying from drinking toxic industrial alcohol. It was the most helpful disaster imaginable. 3. In the late 1800s, Hawaiian sugarcane plantations had a rat problem. To help control the pests, someone imported the mongoose, a known rat killer. There was just one tiny detail they overlooked. Rats are nocturnal, and mongooses are active during the day. They literally worked opposite shifts. The rats partied all night, the mongooses did nothing, and Hawaii ended up with 2 pest problems instead of 1. 4. Centralia, Pennsylvania, just wanted to clean up its landfill in 1962. As a helpful public service, the fire department decided to burn the trash in an open pit. Unfortunately, the pit was connected to an abandoned coal mine. The fire went underground, where it has been burning ever since, creating toxic sinkholes and forcing the entire town to be abandoned. All from just trying to take out the trash. 5. Thomas Migley Jr. was a chemist who just wanted to help humanity. First, he invented leaded gasoline to stop car engines from knocking. Then, he invented Freon, or CFCs, as a safe, non-toxic refrigerant. He was hailed as a genius. It turns out he just gave us widespread lead poisoning and a giant hole in the ozone layer. Possibly the most destructively helpful man in history. 6. In 1986, Cleveland wanted to help a charity and set a world record by releasing 1.5 million balloons at once for Balloon Fest. It looked spectacular for about 5 seconds. Then the balloons came down, clogging Lake Erie, shutting down an airport, and tragically hindering a Coast Guard search for 2 missing fishermen whose boat was found. But they were lost in a sea of balloons. 7. In the 1850s, the U.S. Army decided to help its transportation problem in the arid Southwest by creating the U.S. Camel Corps. They figured camels would be better than horses in the desert. And they were. But the soldiers hated them. The horses were terrified of them. And when the Civil War started, the Army just kind of let them go. Feral, angry camels roamed Arizona for decades. 8. The iconic Smokey Bear campaign was designed to help prevent forest fires. And it worked. A little too well. It taught generations of Americans that all fire was bad. This led to a massive buildup of dead trees and underbrush, turning forests into tinderboxes and making the fires that did start far more catastrophic than they ever would have been naturally. Thanks, Smokey. 9. The government wanted to help commercial fishermen and clean up waterways, so in the 1970s they imported Asian carp. These fish were supposed to eat excess algae. Instead, they ate everything, outcompeted native fish, and grew to enormous sizes. Now they're infamous for leaping out of the water and smacking boaters in the face. A truly invasive airborne pest problem. 10. During the infamous New Jersey shark attacks of 1916, panicked coastal towns wanted to help protect swimmers. Their solution? They formed vigilante patrols in motorboats, armed with rifles and dynamite, and just started blasting the ocean at random. It didn't kill the shark, but it definitely terrified every living fish, crab, and swimmer within a 10-mile radius. 11. A man in Texas offered to help his father-in-law remove a large tree stump from his yard. Instead of renting a grinder, he chained the stump to his pickup truck's bumper and floored it. The stump didn't budge, but the bumper ripped clean off the truck, flew about 50 feet and smashed right through his in-laws' front window. 12. A well-meaning Colorado family found a fawn they thought was abandoned and, to help it, brought it inside their home for safety. A short time later, the very angry mother deer came looking for her baby, crashed through their sliding glass door, and proceeded to wreck the living room while retrieving her unabandoned child. 13. In 1919, Boston, a company built a gigantic 50-foot-tall steel tank to help streamline the production of rum by storing molasses. One warm day, the poorly built tank ruptured, unleashing a 25-foot-high wave of hot, sticky molasses that moved at 35 miles per hour, destroying buildings and creating one of the weirdest and deadliest disasters in American history. 14. To help his neighbor with a grease fire on his barbecue grill, an Ohio man grabbed the nearest liquid he could find, a can of beer. He heroically threw it on the flames, forgetting that beer is mostly water, which makes a grease fire explode into a massive fireball. He successfully singed off his own eyebrows and set the porch railing on fire. 15. Countless American parents trying to help their child win the school science fair end up doing the entire project themselves. This annually results in an army of 8-year-olds presenting PhD-level research on quantum physics or robotics, barely able to pronounce the words on their board and fooling absolutely no one. 16. In the late 1800s, a group of literary fans decided America would be better if it had all the birds mentioned in Shakespeare's plays. To help enrich the local fauna, they released about 100 European starlings in Central Park. Today, their descendants number over 200 million, causing billions in crop damage and being a general nuisance nationwide. Thanks, Shakespeare. 17. A Florida woman went on vacation and asked her kind brother to water her plants. Wanting to be extra helpful, he decided to surprise her by pressure washing her wooden deck. He used the most powerful setting, effectively skinning the wood and turning the entire deck into a furry, splinter-filled, unusable mess. The surprise was not a good one. 18. In the 1990s, Florida officials had a genius idea to help control invasive rodents in the Everglades. They allowed the exotic pet trade to flourish. When owners got bored, they released their Burmese pythons into the wild. Fast forward. Now the Everglades are crawling with 18-foot-long apex predators that snack on deer, alligators, and sometimes each other. Great job helping. 19. A man generously offered to help his parents speed up their old, slow computer. After reading a tip online, he began deleting unnecessary files to free up space. He very helpfully deleted a folder called System 32, permanently turning their $500 computer into a useless plastic box. 20. The US government promoted the kudzu vine in the 1930s and 40s as a miracle plant to help stop soil erosion, even paying farmers to plant it. It worked, and then it never ever stopped working. Now known as the vine that ate the South, it smothers millions of acres of forest, barns, and anything else that doesn't run away. 21. To help his family win the neighborhood Christmas light contest, a dad in suburban Illinois chained together an ungodly number of extension cords for his legion of inflatable snowmen and lights. He not only blew every circuit in his own house, but caused a rolling brownout for 3 of his neighbors right on Christmas Eve. 22. In the 1990s, food companies tried to help Americans lose weight by launching fat-free snacks. The fat was gone, but in its place, mountains of sugar. Americans, thinking they were eating health food, devoured them like medicine. The result? Everyone got fatter, but now with a moral superiority complex and prediabetes. 23. After buying a new sofa, a guy decided to help his friend save on the delivery fee by hauling it with his minivan. It didn't quite fit, so they tied the back hatch down with a single bungee cord. As soon as they hit the highway, the cord snapped and the minivan effectively pooped a sofa into the fast lane, causing a 3-car pileup. 24. A man in California tried to help a bird that had flown into his garage. He gently shooed it towards the open door. The terrified bird flew up into the rafters instead, where it hit the emergency release cord for the garage door, which then slammed shut, trapping them both inside. 25. To help solve Boston's traffic nightmare, officials launched the Big Dig, a plan to bury a highway underground. What started as a $3 billion fix became a $24 billion epic of leaks, corruption, collapsing tunnels, and broken budgets. It's still helping. Therapists explain chronic municipal trauma. 26. To help his wife get rid of a single spider, a man in Seattle armed himself with a can of spray paint and a lighter, creating a makeshift flamethrower. He successfully incinerated the spider, along with a large section of his laundry room wall, causing thousands of dollars in damage. The spider did not survive the help. 27. To help stimulate the auto industry and the environment in 2009, the U.S. government launched the Cash for Clunkers program. People traded in old gas guzzlers for new cars. But the government required the engines of the old cars to be destroyed, which wiped out the supply of cheap used cars and affordable spare parts, hurting the very low-income people it was supposed to help. 28. Two roommates decided to help each other move a new couch into their third-floor apartment. Instead of using the stairs, they thought it would be faster to hoist it up the balcony with a rope. It worked perfectly until the couch was about 2 feet from the top, the rope slipped, and they watched their brand-new furniture plummet to its doom. 29. A homeowner in rural Alabama decided to help his family by proactively removing a wasp nest from under his porch eave. His chosen tool? A baseball bat. He took a mighty swing, connected perfectly, and was immediately enveloped in a furious, buzzing cloud of pain and regret. The wasps did not appreciate his assistance. 30. The office hero who just wants to help fix the jammed copy machine. They ignore the little diagrams, yank on a half-stuck piece of paper, and tear it, leaving a tiny, unreachable scrap deep inside the machine's guts. Their 2-second fix instantly creates a 2-hour job for the actual technician. 31. In the early 1900s, engineers tried to help irrigate California's Imperial Valley by cutting into the Colorado River. But the river flooded, broke through the canals, and flowed into a desert basin for 2 straight years. This helpful irrigation project accidentally created the Salton Sea, a massive, dying, and increasingly toxic saltwater lake where a desert used to be. 32. To help his family on Thanksgiving, a man tried to rapidly thaw a 20-pound frozen turkey. He decided the most efficient method was to put it in the hot tub. This not only failed to thaw the bird properly, but also filled the family's relaxing jacuzzi with floating turkey juices, creating a horrifying lukewarm poultry soup. 33. During the Cold War, the CIA wanted to help America spy on the Soviets. In a project called Acoustic Kitty, they spent millions of dollars surgically implanting a microphone and transmitter into a cat. On its very first mission, the high-tech cat was released from a van, took about 10 steps, and was immediately run over by a taxi. 34. A man trying to help a friend jumpstart a dead car battery confidently connected the cables. He just connected them backwards, red to black and black to red. Instead of a helpful jump, he sent a massive electrical surge through both cars, frying both alternators and computers, and turning one dead battery into 2 very expensive repair bills. 35. To help get rid of a stubborn gopher in his pristine lawn, a retiree in Oregon tried to flood it out with a garden hose. When that failed, he escalated by shoving road flares into the tunnel. When that also failed, he pumped propane gas into the hole and lit a match. The resulting explosion launched dirt and grass 50 feet into the air and left a crater the size of a small car. 36. A woman in Arizona offered to help her elderly neighbor by taking care of her garden while she was on vacation. The neighbor gave one simple instruction: just pull the weeds. The helpful woman spent an entire afternoon meticulously pulling up every single plant she didn't recognize, which turned out to be $1,000 worth of rare, imported perennials. 37. The DARE program was created in the 80s to help kids just say no to drugs. Police officers went to schools to warn about the dangers of substance abuse. However, numerous studies later showed the program was completely ineffective, had zero impact on drug use, and in some cases actually increased kids' curiosity about the very drugs it warned against. 38. A man tried to help his girlfriend by deep frying some French fries for her. When the oil caught fire, he panicked and, trying to be helpful, threw a full cup of water on it. The resulting grease explosion sent a fireball to the ceiling, ruined the cabinets, and set off every smoke alarm in the building. The fries were a total loss. 39. Trying to help a friend who locked his keys in his car, a guy from Wisconsin had a brilliant idea. He'd use his high-powered hunting rifle to shoot the lock off the car door. He successfully blew the lock to pieces, but the bullet continued through the door, shattered the dashboard, and exited through the passenger side window. 40. A classic American dad move, helping the family pack for a road trip. He sees the carefully organized bags and decides he can make it all fit better. He applies brute force, strategic squishing, and pure Tetris-inspired rage. Everything fits, but now the sleeping bags are crushed, the snacks are dust, and no one can find anything. 41. During the Cold War, the U.S. government launched Project Plowshare, a plan to help with civilian engineering projects by using nuclear bombs. They seriously proposed using atomic explosions to dig a new Panama Canal or create an artificial harbor in Alaska. Mercifully, they only conducted a few tests before realizing that making everything radioactive was not, in fact, helpful. 42. A man in Florida decided to help his buddy move a large glass tabletop. To protect it in the back of the truck, he wrapped it in a thick blanket. But he forgot one thing: friction. At the first red light, the slick blanket let the glass slide forward, where it gently tapped the back of the cab and instantly shattered into a million tiny, unhelpful pieces. 43. In the 1930s, entrepreneurs tried to help the American fur industry by importing nutria, a large South American rodent. When the fur market crashed, they just released them into the wild. Now, these giant, orange-toothed swamp rats destroy millions of acres of wetlands and coastal marshes, burrowing through levees and causing massive erosion. 44. To help his son get into college, a wealthy father photoshopped his kid's head onto the body of a real water polo player and submitted it with the application. He was not trying to help his son learn about honesty, and the ensuing nationwide Varsity Blues scandal proved it. 45. A woman wanted to help her sister by deep cleaning her bathroom as a surprise. In a stroke of chemical genius, she mixed bleach and ammonia, hoping to create a super cleaner. Instead, she created toxic chloramine gas, forcing the fire department to evacuate the entire apartment building. The bathroom was not cleaner. 46. To help get rid of ants in his kitchen, a guy from Phoenix read online that cinnamon was a natural deterrent. He helpfully sprinkled it all over his countertops, along the floorboards, and inside the cabinets. The ants were not deterred. They just walked around it, leaving him with a kitchen that was still full of ants, but now also sticky and smelling like a sad Christmas. 47. A classic story from every American suburb. A person tries to help their neighbor by taking their trash can back up the driveway. But they misjudge the curb and accidentally knock over the can, spilling a week's worth of smelly garbage all over their neighbor's perfectly manicured lawn. The walk of shame to clean it up is brutal. 48. The infamous door zone bike lane. A city tries to help cyclists by painting a fresh bike lane. They put it directly between the traffic lane and a lane of parked cars. This helpful design guides cyclists right into the path of suddenly opening car doors, turning a safe space into a gauntlet of potential faceplants. 49. A teenager decides to help his dad with his first ever oil change. Everything goes smoothly until the final step. He pours 5 quarts of expensive synthetic oil into the engine, completely forgetting to put the drain plug back in first. They both watched in horror as liquid gold streamed out onto the garage floor. 50. In the early 20th century, many American cities offered bounties to help control their rat populations. It seemed logical: pay people for every dead rat they turn in. Instead, enterprising citizens started breeding rats in their basements to create a steady, profitable income stream, making the original problem significantly worse. 51. To help a friend who was feeling down, a woman decided to bake her a cake. She was out of vegetable oil, so she cleverly substituted it with olive oil, thinking, oil is oil. The result was a bizarre, savory, slightly bitter cake that tasted like a confused salad. The gesture was sweet. The cake was not. 52. the well-meaning friend who wants to help you with your computer problems. They download 3 different free antivirus programs and a PC speed-up tool. Now your laptop runs slower than ever, bombarding you with pop-up ads and demanding you pay for the premium version to fix the problems it just created. 53. A woman decided to help her fluffy Samoyed dog beat the summer heat by giving it a haircut herself. Armed with a pair of clippers and boundless confidence, she shaved it almost to the skin. She did not know that a dog's double coat actually insulates it from heat, and she had just destroyed its natural cooling system and made it look like a giant naked mole rat. 54. A driver in rural Pennsylvania, trying to help his family get to their destination faster, decided to ignore his GPS and take what looked like a shortcut on the map. The road quickly turned into a muddy, unpaved logging trail, leaving their minivan hopelessly stuck miles from cell service. The shortcut took 6 hours longer. 55. A well-meaning person decides to help their partner by doing all the laundry. They grab every piece of clothing they can find, throw it all into one load and wash it on hot. They successfully turn all the white clothes a dingy pink and shrink their partner's favorite wool sweater down to a size that would fit a small chihuahua. 56. A husband, trying to help by fixing a small scuff on the living room wall, finds an old can of paint helpfully labeled living room beige. He doesn't realize his wife has used 3 different shades of beige over the years. His small touch-up creates a single, glaringly obvious, mismatched splotch that is 1,000 times more noticeable than the original scuff. 57. To help their gardens naturally, countless Americans buy and release thousands of ladybugs to eat pests. The problem is they are often the invasive Asian lady beetle, not native species. They don't just stay in your garden, they swarm houses by the thousands in the fall. They bite, and they smell awful when crushed. You've just helped infest the entire neighborhood. 58. The helpful nephew who sees his grandparents struggling with 3 remotes, so he buys them one easy-to-use universal remote. After 2 hours of frustrating programming, he proudly hands them a single device that now fails to properly control the TV, the cable box, and the soundbar, leaving them completely unable to watch their shows. 59. In the early 20th century, many prominent Americans promoted eugenics as a way to help society by creating a better human race. This led to horrific forced sterilization laws in over 30 states, targeting the poor, the disabled, and minorities. It was a scientific-sounding plan that was actually just a cruel, discriminatory catastrophe. 60. A teenager wanting to help by washing his dad's prized muscle car decides to use powerful dish soap to get it squeaky clean. He doesn't know that dish soap is designed to strip grease and wax, so he effectively removes the car's entire protective coating. He helpfully aged the car's paint job by about a decade in a single afternoon. 61. To help families achieve the American dream after World War II, urban planners designed the modern suburb. This helpful vision of a house with a yard led to endless, characterless sprawl, soul-crushing commutes, a total dependence on cars, and a profound sense of isolation. They helped solve one problem by creating 5 new ones. 62. Your helpful friend who offers to hold your drink while you tie your shoe. They then immediately use that same hand to gesture wildly while telling a story, launching your $6 iced coffee across the room and directly onto a stranger's white coat. Their help cost you $6 and a massive dose of secondhand embarrassment. 63. From the 1860s until as late as the 1970s, several American cities had what were known as ugly laws. These were actual ordinances designed to help public decency by making it illegal for people with noticeable physical disabilities or disfigurements to appear in public. It was a law designed to help. That was actually just state-sanctioned cruelty. 64. The well-meaning dinner guest who wants to help make friends with the host's dog. They secretly slip it a grape from the fruit platter or a piece of an onion ring, not knowing that those foods are highly toxic to dogs. Their friendly gesture results in a frantic, expensive, and completely avoidable emergency trip to the vet. 65. A classic American dad move. Helping hang a heavy mirror. When he can't find a stud in the wall, he decides a bigger screw will solve the problem. He drives a 4-inch screw directly into the wall, missing the stud, but finding, with perfect accuracy, the main water pipe for the upstairs bathroom. 66. To help prevent a total economic collapse in 2008, the government bailed out the country's massive banks, declaring them too big to fail. This helpful act taught Wall Street an invaluable lesson. They could take insane, reckless risks, and if they lost, the American taxpayer would be there to foot the bill. 67. A homeowner, determined to help his struggling lawn become the greenest on the block, decides that if the fertilizer bag says to use 1 scoop, then 3 scoops must be 3 times better. He ends up chemically burning the entire lawn, turning his patch of green into a crunchy, brown, and very dead wasteland. 68. The friend who swears they know the perfect person for you and just wants to help your love life. They set you up on a blind date with someone whose only shared interest appears to be inhaling oxygen, leading to 3 hours of the most awkward silence and forced conversation imaginable. Their help is a monument to bad matchmaking. 69. The town of Peacher, Oklahoma, patriotically helped America win 2 world wars by mining massive amounts of lead and zinc. This helpfulness came at a price. The mining turned the entire area into a toxic Superfund site, riddled with giant chat mountains and a high risk of collapse, forcing the government to eventually declare the town uninhabitable. 70. The spouse who decides to help by cleaning out the refrigerator. They enthusiastically throw out anything that looks unfamiliar, which includes the leftover steak you were dreaming about for lunch, the expensive cheese you just bought, and the special marinade that was the key to tonight's dinner. Their help is a culinary tragedy. 71. The friend of a friend who offers to help you move for just pizza and beer. This helpful deal results in your solid oak bookshelf getting a new permanent gouge, your favorite lamp being dropped down a flight of stairs, and your fragile boxes being used as a step stool. Sometimes paying for professionals is the real help. 72. The city of San Francisco wanted to help its homeless population in the early 2000s by giving them cash welfare payments instead of direct services. The program, called Care Not Cash, was intended to be helpful. Instead, it was widely reported that it created a surge in drug and alcohol abuse and simply attracted more homeless people to the city, making the problem worse. 73. A helpful husband decides to surprise his wife by setting up her new laptop. He creates all the accounts, sets the passwords to something easy to remember, and installs all the software he thinks she'll need. She then spends the next week trying to guess the passwords and uninstalling the 15 different toolbars that now clog her browser. 74. In the 1960s, American planners wanted to help revitalize their cities. Their brilliant solution? Bulldoze historic neighborhoods and run massive, multi-lane freeways right through the center of town. This urban renewal destroyed communities, created decades of noise and pollution, and physically divided cities in ways that still cause problems today. 75. A well-meaning person finds a turtle trying to cross a busy road. To help it, they pick it up and move it to a safer spot on the other side. They don't realize turtles have a powerful homing instinct and will spend the rest of their lives trying to get back to their original territory, often forcing them to cross that same road again and again. 76. A classic American office moment. Someone tries to help unjam the microwave popcorn bag that got stuck. They give it a forceful yank. The bag rips open, showering the entire break room floor with 1,000 searingly hot, buttery kernels, creating a greasy, dangerous slip-and-fall hazard for everyone. 77. To help with the Great Depression, the U.S. government passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930. The idea was to protect American jobs by raising taxes on imported goods. Instead, it triggered a global trade war as other countries retaliated, causing U.S. exports to plummet and pushing the world deeper into economic despair. A truly helpful disaster. 78. A woman trying to help a friend who spilled red wine on a white carpet remembers a tip about using salt. She dumps an entire container of Morton's salt on the stain. Now, instead of a wine stain, her friend has a giant, crusty, salty patch that's impossible to vacuum and has permanently bleached the carpet fibers. 79. The friend who offers to help you by taking photos at your special event. They use their phone, take every picture vertically, keep their finger over the lens for half the shots, and film videos with shaky hands. You end up with 100 blurry, unusable memories. Their free help was worth exactly what you paid for it. 80. After the Mexican-American War, the U.S. signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, promising to help protect the property rights of Mexicans who now found themselves living in America. In practice, a complex and biased legal system allowed their land to be systematically taken away through shady deals and legal trickery. The help never arrived. 81. The helpful neighbor who offers to watch your house while you're on vacation. He helpfully brings in your mail, and then stacks it on your dining room table, creating a giant visible pile that screams, "Nobody is home," to anyone peeking through the window. His help is a burglar's invitation. 82. To help drivers be more aware, many modern cars come with lane departure warning systems that beep loudly. The problem is, they are so sensitive they go off constantly on narrow roads or during normal driving, annoying the driver so much that the first thing they do is figure out how to permanently turn the helpful feature off. 83. The person at the self-checkout who sees you struggling and comes over to help. They start rapidly tapping the screen, bypassing the option you wanted, adding the extended warranty you didn't need, and somehow logging you out of your grocery store rewards account. You now need an actual employee to undo their help. 84. A classic American teen move. Trying to help your parents by doing a chore you've never done before, like cleaning the dishwasher. You proudly fill the dispenser with regular dish soap instead of dishwasher detergent. An hour later, your parents come home to a kitchen floor covered in an unstoppable, sudsy foam apocalypse. 85. In the 1950s, the Army Corps of Engineers wanted to help control the unruly Kissimmee River in Florida. They spent a decade turning the 103-mile meandering river into a 56-mile straight, concrete-lined canal. This helpful project destroyed 40,000 acres of vital wetlands, devastated fish and wildlife populations, and they're now spending hundreds of millions of dollars to turn it back into a river. 86. The helpful party guest who decides the music isn't loud enough. They crank the volume to 11, not realizing your speakers have the structural integrity of a wet paper towel. The resulting pop and smell of burnt electronics signals the end of the music and the beginning of an expensive replacement search. 87. To help the environment, many Americans dutifully rinse their recyclables before putting them in the bin. The problem is they often use hot water and spend minutes scrubbing a yogurt cup, using far more energy and clean water than is saved by recycling that one piece of low-grade plastic in the first place. Their help has negative returns. 88. A woman in Oregon tried to help a baby squirrel that had fallen from its nest. She brought it inside and lovingly fed it milk from a saucer. She did not know you should never give a squirrel cow's milk. The result was a very sick baby squirrel with a severe case of diarrhea, creating a tiny, smelly biohazard all over her kitchen. 89. The U.S. Forest Service spent decades trying to help forests by suppressing every single fire. This helpful policy allowed dense undergrowth to flourish, creating an enormous fuel load. Now, when fires inevitably start, they are not small ground fires but uncontrollable megafires that sterilize the soil and destroy entire ecosystems. 90. The roommate who wants to help by cooking dinner. They use every single pot, pan, and utensil in the kitchen to make a simple pasta dish. The meal is fine, but they've left behind a disaster zone of crusty, sauce-caked cookware that looks like a bomb went off in a kitchen supply store. Your help is now needed to clean up their help. 91. A classic American parenting fail, trying to help a child by sheltering them from any and all disappointment. They argue with teachers over bad grades, demand a trophy for participation, and ensure the child never faces failure. This helpfulness creates a young adult who is completely unprepared for the reality that the world does not, in fact, revolve around them. 92. In the 1980s, the U.S. government, trying to help fight the war on drugs, embraced civil asset forfeiture. This allowed police to seize cash and property they merely suspected was connected to a crime without ever charging the owner. It was supposed to hurt drug lords, but ended up helping police departments fund themselves by taking cars and cash from innocent people. 93. A man in Minnesota, trying to help his wife with the laundry, saw a red candle had accidentally gone through the wash and coated the entire load in wax. To fix it, he put the waxy clothes in the dryer on high heat. He didn't remove the wax. He just melted it permanently into every single fiber of their clothing. 94. A friend offers to help you set up your new smart TV. They connect it to your Wi-Fi, but helpfully accept all the default privacy settings. Now your TV is legally allowed to watch you, listen to your conversations, and sell your viewing data to advertisers, turning your new entertainment hub into a corporate spy. 95. The well-meaning hiker who wants to help fellow travelers. They build a small stack of rocks known as a cairn to mark the trail, but they build it in a confusing spot or where it's not needed. Now other hikers follow their unhelpful marker, get lost, and wander off the actual trail, potentially into a dangerous situation. 96. A driver trying to be helpful lets another car merge into heavy traffic in front of them. This single act of kindness creates a chain reaction of sudden braking behind them, causing a phantom traffic jam that slows down hundreds of cars for the next half hour, all because one person was trying to be nice. 97. In the 1950s, doctors wanted to help women with morning sickness. They prescribed a new wonder drug called thalidomide. While it was effective, it was later discovered to cause severe birth defects. This helpful prescription led to a worldwide tragedy and a complete overhaul of drug testing regulations. 98. A guy decides to help his girlfriend by giving her car an interior detail. He generously sprays Armor All on every surface to make it shiny: the dashboard, the doors, the steering wheel, and even the gas and brake pedals. He has effectively turned her car's controls into a dangerously slick, uncontrollable mess. 99. A person trying to help a bee drowning in their swimming pool carefully scoops it out with a leaf. As a reward for this kindness, the bee, confused and angry, immediately stings them. No good deed goes unpunished, especially when it involves grumpy, wet insects. 100. To help American farmers during the Dust Bowl, the government paid them to slaughter over 6 million pigs. But instead of distributing the meat, most of the carcasses were destroyed and left to rot, while millions of Americans were going hungry. The optics of this help were, to put it mildly, catastrophic. 101. And finally, the most widespread and quintessentially American act of helping that goes wrong every single day: offering completely unsolicited advice. That coworker, relative, or stranger in the comments section who sees your problem and, with supreme confidence, tells you exactly what you should do, despite having zero context. Their help is almost never useful, but it always makes them feel like a genius for a fleeting moment. So the lesson is clear. Sometimes the most helpful thing a person can do is absolutely nothing. Now, your turn. We all have that one person whose help was so catastrophic it still makes your blood boil. Who was it, and what did they do? Let it all out in the comments below. If you enjoyed this festival of failure, hit like and subscribe for more.